Let's take a look at these ratings of perceived exertion. So again, these are subjective scales where you can ask someone to indicate, according to any given scale, how hard they feel as though they were working. The initial scale here is seen on the left-hand side, Borg's RPE scale, from 6 to 20. Now it's interesting to note it starts at 6 and not 0 or 1. And the reason for this was originally Borg's RPE scale was set to mimic heart rate, so that at rest, if you multiplied the lowest number by 10, you would get a heart rate of 60. And so that would be someone who is in good health with a normal heart rate at rest. Maximal working capacity should be around 200 beats per minute, and so that's where the number 20 came from. It's not quite that easy for people when you're asking them to rate their perceived exertion because understanding a scale from 6 to 20 really doesn't give them a good starting point. Usually what I like to do is I like to say, okay, I'd like to see how hard you're working. 6 basically is no exertion. You're sitting at home, you're on the couch, you're watching Saturday afternoon college football. 20 is the hardest work that you have absolutely ever done, and you're only able to maintain that work for a couple of seconds. Borg's scale has been adapted lately to a 1 to 10 scale. People tend to comprehend this a little more easy, as well as the colors indicate to them just how hard they should be working. Again, 0 here is rest, completely on the couch, not doing anything. 10 is the hardest event or race that you have ever done. And it's nice and easy because people can repeat back to you any given number of how hard they feel the work is, or they can record it in their log or questionnaire. The Omni RPE scale is a little bit different. Now we see a graphical representation of people actually participating in certain acts. And these come for a variety of activities. Here we see 2 scales that are rated for both children and adults. And on the top scale you can see someone cycling, on the bottom scale you see someone running. The idea here is the higher up on the hill they get, the harder it is. Think about the last time you tried to ride your bike or run a hill. So on the flats, they're at the lowest level of exertion all the way to the top. What we're mimicking, or what we're losing, I should say, here is total rest. Although if we're asking them for how hard their physical activity levels are, total rest probably isn't a good indicator because that means they're not being active at all. Again, these scales are all subjective. What one person ranks on a Borg scale as being a really, really hard exercise, for someone who's completely fit, they may only rate that as a 3 or moderate exercise. And so we cannot compare Borg scales between people, but we can compare them within the same person over time. So if we do a certain test, we ask them to rate their perceived exertion. A month later, we give them the same test. We ask them to rank their perceived exertion. They may change perceived exertion because the work has gotten easier. Hopefully, they've gotten into a better shape.